Police! Get on the ground now.
Bedroom looks like a struggle took place. Mattress is off the frame. Lamp is broken on the carpet here.
I didn't do it. I swear I didn't do it. Please, I don't know what happened.
Ma'am, you need to tell us what you know.
Ernest, Ernie Lee Abara Jr., was born on Christmas Day, 1985, in Titus County, Texas, a quiet corner of East Texas where life moved slowly and community ran deep. From a young age, Ernie was a reader, a thinker, and as technology evolved, he channeled that curiosity into computers, teaching himself repairs and maintenance that most people would pay professionals to handle. In 2008, Ernie met Samantha Wolford, a young woman already navigating the challenges of single motherhood with a pair of twins from a previous relationship. Rather than being deterred, Ernie embraced the ready-made family. He was steady, dependable, and willing to work. 3 years into their relationship, the couple welcomed their own set of twins, doubling the household to 4 children. Then, in 2013, Samantha became pregnant again with their 5th child, a baby girl.
To support this growing family, Ernie works not 1, but 2 jobs. He never complained publicly. He simply showed up. Samantha, meanwhile, dreamed of a different kind of contribution. She launched a YouTube channel, posting pregnancy vlogs, lifestyle tips, and personal updates, hoping to build an audience and generate extra income. Her videos were raw and unfiltered. She admitted to still smoking during pregnancy, citing stress as her doctor's reason for not pushing a cold turkey quit. She talked about having no vices, no friends to vent to, no outlet. Despite the love they shared, cracks were forming. Ernie's passion for video gaming sparked frequent arguments. One dispute escalated when his gaming avatar was romantically linked to another player's character, a virtual affair that cut deeply for Samantha. To mend things, Ernie proposed. In 2014, the couple officially married, standing across from each other and saying, "I do." It seemed like a new beginning. It would prove to be anything but. In the early morning hours of February 20th, 2015, Ernie and Samantha were asleep in their bedroom. Their 5 children slept soundly in nearby rooms. The house was quiet, the ordinary stillness of a family home at rest. Then, just after 1 a.m., that stillness shattered. 3 masked intruders forced their way into the home. They wore black masks, black shirts, black pants, and black gloves. Every inch of skin was covered. They moved with purpose, suggesting this was not random. Samantha later described being grabbed by her hair, yanked out of bed, slammed face down onto the floor, and bound. A knife was pressed against her throat. A gun was pressed between her shoulder blades. The men screamed at her to stay still, stay quiet, not to make them hurt her. Ernie was being handled simultaneously in the darkness. There was commotion, the sounds of a struggle, of fists and metal connecting with a human body. When Samantha was dragged downstairs, she saw her husband with his face covered in blood, guns pressed against his head. The men demanded $20,000 in 5 minutes, claiming Ernie's father had gotten their associate imprisoned, and now they were taking someone from him in revenge. The children never woke up. The intruders made that clear. They weren't there for the kids. Before being separated for the last time, Ernie was forced to look at Samantha. One intruder said coldly, "That's the last time you're going to see her." Then they dragged Ernie out into the night, taking his wallet, his ID, and his wedding ring. Samantha was left bound on the floor. The house fell silent again, but nothing would ever be the same. With her hands tied behind her back and her mouth bound so tightly she feared it would split, Samantha claimed she used her face to navigate her phone and make a call. She did not call 911. She called her mother, a detail that immediately raised eyebrows among the deputies who arrived on the scene.
Law enforcement found no signs of a significant struggle inside the home. No blood on the carpet, no blood on the walls. For a man who had reportedly been pistol-whipped multiple times with a black handgun, the crime scene was remarkably clean. One investigator pulled another aside and said quietly that the scene wasn't making sense. It looked staged. Still, deputies moved quickly. They attempted to ping Ernie's phone for a location. They rushed to the home of Ernie's father to see if he had been targeted too. And they brought Samantha in for formal questioning, hoping her account would give them a breakthrough. Instead, it gave them reasons to dig deeper. Samantha's story shifted in small but significant ways. She said she hid her phone under the bed when the intruders asked if she had one. She said she wiggled across the floor on her side to reach it. She said she pressed her face against the screen to dial. When asked why she didn't wake her 7-year-old to call 911, she had no satisfying answer. Investigators also noted that while left alone in the interview room, Samantha drew hearts on the whiteboard, wrote, "Hello, my love," and "I need you, honey," behavior that struck detectives as oddly detached from the terror of a woman whose husband had just been kidnapped at gunpoint. Detectives interrogated Samantha for hours, pressing every inconsistency, probing every hesitation. She admitted she had once thought about stabbing Ernie. She acknowledged she had thought about shooting him. She had, in fact, previously had him arrested in 2014 on a domestic violence accusation, resulting in a restraining order. She framed these admissions carefully, insisting those feelings were in the past and that the couple had been getting along fine the night of the attack. But investigators were not buying it. One detective looked her directly in the face and told her plainly he believed she was lying, that she knew exactly who did this, and that her story didn't hold up. He also offered her a way out, telling her that knowing who committed the crime didn't automatically make her an accomplice. It would just make her a scared mother trying to protect her children. Detectives interrogated Samantha for hours, pressing every inconsistency, probing every hesitation. She admitted she had once thought about stabbing Ernie. She acknowledged she had thought about shooting him. She had, in fact, previously had him arrested in 2014 on a domestic violence accusation, resulting in a restraining order. She framed these admissions carefully, insisting those feelings were in the past and that the couple had been getting along fine the night of the attack. But investigators were not buying it. One detective looked her directly in the face and told her plainly he believed she was lying, that she knew exactly who did this, and that her story didn't hold up. He also offered her a way out, telling her that knowing who committed the crime didn't automatically make her an accomplice. It would just make her a scared mother trying to protect her children. Armed with the names Jonathan Sanford, Octavius Rhymes, and Jose Pond, deputies moved fast. They located Jonathan and Jose at the Titus County Regional Hospital and arrested them just as they were preparing to leave. Octavius Rhymes evaded capture briefly, but was arrested nearly a week later on February 26, 2015. What the suspects revealed to investigators confirmed everyone's darkest fear. Ernie was already dead. He had been taken that night to a remote wooded location southeast of a steel mill in neighboring Camp County, Texas. There, in the dark, he was executed. Jose Pond fired a single shot into the back of Ernie's head. A father of 5, a man who worked 2 jobs to keep his family afloat, was gone, murdered in cold blood in the Texas wilderness, while his children slept at home unaware. But the full picture of what happened was more disturbing than a crime of passion or misguided revenge. Court documents and phone records told the real story. The original plan had been to plant methamphetamine in Ernie's truck and get him arrested on a drug charge, a setup that would quietly remove him from the picture. When that plan was deemed too complicated, the group, which included Samantha, agreed that murder would be simpler.
The evidence against Samantha was damning. While police were still searching for Ernie, she had sent text messages to Octavius Rhymes reading, "Kill phone, shut that down, ditch phone, move." She had also withheld a critical piece of information for hours, that the intruders had been driving her own Chevrolet Equinox. Every tear, every question, every heart drawn on that whiteboard had been a performance. The legal consequences for all 4 defendants were severe, though each took a different path to their fate. Jonathan Sanford and Jose Ponce chose not to risk a trial. Both pleaded guilty to murder and kidnapping and were each sentenced to 50 years in prison. Octavius Rhymes rolled the dice and took his case to a jury. It did not go well. He was convicted of aggravated kidnapping and murder, receiving a combined sentence of 98 years, 23 for the kidnapping and 75 for the murder charge. Samantha Wolford also chose to stand trial. On September 14, 2017, more than 2 years after Ernie's death, a jury found her guilty of murder and kidnapping. The woman who had cried in that interrogation room, drawn hearts on a whiteboard, and asked, "Have you found my husband?" was sentenced to 99 years in prison, the harshest penalty of the group. She is currently serving her sentence at a correctional facility in Gatesville, Texas.
Under Texas law, Octavius Rhymes will be eligible for parole as early as August 2026. Jonathan Sanford, Jose Ponce, and Samantha Wolford will not be eligible for parole until 2040. Ernie Abara never got to raise his 5 children. The man who worked double shifts, taught himself computer repair, and said "I do" to a woman with a complicated past was betrayed by the very person who was supposed to love him most. His story, told on the podcast Female Criminals, is a sobering reminder of how violence can hide behind the most ordinary-looking lives, and how justice, though slow, eventually finds its way to the truth.